All right. We are here to help you with some social media today. And so, what we're going to go over and dip our toes in today is some very, very basic social media 101. I will share my screen a little bit with you today. We will have time to answer questions. And I think the way we've organized is we would love to potentially get you into some breakout groups. So, if you want to make some actionable things or get some homework done, of which we would assign to you today, then we can do that. I would recommend at this point in time, if you can direct as many of your questions towards the chat as possible. Both Taylor and Caroline are going to be there to help answer those, and they can flag me if we need to have discussion around that or whatever. So feel free to chat with them or to ask questions in that chat as we go. So I'm going to kind of take off here, but our first thing that we are looking at today is just kind of social media 101. And we have prepared, or let me kind of backtrack, I guess I should say. Casey and I aligned weeks ago before Christmas, and she said, hey, I would love it if you could come in and help our realtors, just give them some information about social media. So we aligned for 7 different classes that we could come in and say what is very specific to a realtor world that would be very beneficial to them, from dipping your toes in the water to maybe more advanced skills on social media, like what would be really, really helpful. And we outlined that, starting with just social media 101. Let's break it down back to the basics. What are the platforms? What are keys to social media, and how are we getting better at it as we go if we want to be? And then what we're kind of dip our toes in today is like, what is your brand as a realtor? And how does that translate to social media? So we're just going to kind of kick it off. I'm going to share my screen here. I have a little bit of a resource. You're welcome to take notes. I've also shared this link with Casey, and I'm not sure if she's sharing it with you or not, but if not, like these are your notes to take here. So feel free to do so. All right. Social media 101. The first thing I want to discuss or look at, first of all, the tool that I'm using and sharing with you right now is called Notion. It's something we kind of live and die by in our world. It's a very organizational space in which we can keep our clients and ideas and information around our clients really organized. So first thing we want to do is talk about the platforms on social media. You guys are probably aware of these, but again, like I said, this is a very basic situation and basic class. Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook are the 3 that we believe are the most powerful for you right now in the realtor space. There are more platforms than that. Pinterest, very national level, and TikTok is a great one, especially if you're video oriented. But these 3 right here are kind of where we can, that we're going to break down today for you. Instagram being something that is incredibly visual, easy to post to. There's feed posts, stories, reels, and Instagram TV. There's all types of content, both, just a static post, as you guys know, and a lot of video options right now that they're pushing hard on. LinkedIn, very professional networking platform in which if you're trying to make professional connections, this might be a great space that you might be wanting to dip your toes into. And then Facebook. This is an obvious one, but there are kind of 2 different sides of Facebook. One, there's your personal Facebook page in which you may get some great traction and have a lot of like your connections on, your friends, family, people, those types of people. And then there's a Facebook page that you can have, obviously, that is going to be reflective of your brand and very specifically your realtor business. So again, 3 different platforms. We're going to touch on them all. We're probably going to be a little bit Instagram heavy here today. And I say that because it's the most visual and probably the best platform and easiest to grow in a little amount of time. Not that we're not going to touch on the others, but that's kind of where we're going to hone our energy into today. So we will speak to those platforms. Other things that we want to touch on are what's the difference between paid versus organic when it comes to social media, because they are 2 different things and they work in different ways. Our organic side is saying, hey, I'm going to create this post on social media and hope my audience sees it. If I have 100 followers, We know that probably only about 15 of those actual followers are going to see the content. That's just the way social media works. If I want more than my followers to see that content, I can put money behind it, meaning I can either boost it or I can do a paid ad around it, and I can widen the audience and reach of that piece of content that I'm placing out there on that platform. So both very beneficial ways to do it. Obviously, one costs money and one doesn't. One just costs time, which is money, as we know, in our world. So we will discuss that a little bit too. Engagement and consistency are probably the two biggest things that play into growing your social media. How are we getting people to engage with us? And are we engaging back? Social media is a get what you give kind of thing. And then are we being consistent? Are we putting sporadic posts up? Is there a game plan in place? Or are we actually creating consistency and a plan around what we're doing and why we're doing it? So that's something we're also going to touch on. So let's get into it. Again, if you're new or if you're joining us, feel free to drop any questions into that chat. Both Casey and Kaylee are in there, and both my two girls, Taylor and Caroline, are in there. Start that conversation. They're there to help you out. My recommendation right now is that if you don't already have your phone in front of you, to go ahead and grab it. And let's walk through some of the basics. I'm going to start with Instagram. So if you have that, I would recommend pulling it up. When we talk about your brand on Instagram, there's a few things that we have to walk through. And the first one is making a decision that if you're going to use Instagram, there's a personal way to use Instagram and there's a business way to use Instagram. So if you are intentional about using this for your business, we recommend you set up a business profile. This is a decision you're going to have to make. If your Instagram is about your kids and it's private and you want nothing more than friends and family to have that information, then I would say set up a second Instagram account that is very specific for your business. I'm not saying the two types of content can't overlap, but if your personal, Mama Bear 857 Instagram handle is mainly about your family and you want to keep it that way, that's totally fine. Do that. But if you want to be intentional and create your real estate business there, set up that second handle and do make sure that it is a business account. In order to do that, you open up your Instagram app. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a menu that you can set up. The top option in that menu is settings. Midway down or so towards the bottom, there's an option called account. And at the bottom of that, there's your account type. There's a business account and a personal account. And I think there might be a third option, and it's going to depend on everybody because everybody's presented with different options, unfortunately, for a creator account. And you want to make sure you have a business account. Again, if there's any questions about that, go ahead and drop that into the chat. You're welcome to do so. Okay. A lot of people have a personal Instagram. I think you have to make an intentional decision about whether or not you want your business to be on social media or not. And if so, what does that look like? One of the very first things I tell people when they're getting started on Instagram specifically is that make sure your handle works for your business. And I've given an example right here to optimize your Instagram profile. Amanda345, I don't know who that is. When I'm scrolling and I'm in my feed and your handle's the first thing I see, I'm not sure who Amanda345 is. But Amanda the Realtor, I immediately have context. I can go into my brain, rack all the Amandas I know and which one's the realtor, and all of a sudden I can get there. That might not be available. Add an underscore or a dot or a dash in there. Add KC on the end. Do whatever you need to do. But whatever you're going to do, make it intentional for who you are and what you do along the way. So if you're going to set up that handle, you can do so. You can always change your handle. Obviously, some are taken. You have to choose what you want that to be. A big question we get often is, do I make my handle my name, or do I make it about Better Homes and Garden, or do I set up my own name for my realtor business? The answer is sure, all of them. You need to be intentional about what you're going to call yourself and be consistent with it. So that goes back to that consistency piece. So if you want to be Amanda the Realtor, that's fine. Let's call you Amanda the Realtor on maybe your website and some other places as well for the consistency factor. If you want to give, a brand name and call this, Amanda Homes KC, and be more of a branded feel specifically around that, that's totally fine. Just create that in all spots for consistency's sake. So I would say consistency is going to be a thing that you hear often. Really quickly, one thing that I believe in social media, and I kind of shared this with the last group that we had too, is social media is like losing weight. You got to put in the work, right? Like there's no magic pill, there's no secret sauce, there's no, you just have to put in the work to it. Like, and when you put in the work, it will grow and it will happen. Just like when I consistently get on the treadmill, magically weight disappears. So same concept, like there is no secret sauce. If somebody's selling you a secret sauce, they're lying to you. That I can promise you. Okay, optimizing your profile again. If you pick a profile image, you have to decide kind of a direction here. If you're on a team, if you're on a realtor team, there may be like a Instagram specifically for that team, and you may be may have a logo that represents that team versus a single image. You as a realtor, I'm a big fan of a really great headshot. If you haven't invested in a headshot, I highly recommend you do. There's so many wonderful photographers in town. I can even recommend a few to you if you're interested. But getting a really, really strong headshot is kind of the face of your brand. So putting that, and not, don't put a picture of your house, don't put a picture of your kids, put a picture of you and something that's zoomed in on your face so that I can immediately recognize you. Make sure it's well lit. Make sure that it is a strong image that I can connect the two together. When I see your face, when I see Amanda the Realtor, I know that that is you. So highly recommend that. I see so many people that have their dog or their kids or something else as their profile image, and it's just really disconnecting and not a great way to run your brand if you're going to be intentional about social media. So really great profile photo, really high quality headshot. I know my girls know some nameless photographers too, and they can probably drop those in the chat if you guys are interested in those and need a great headshot. Let's continue with your Instagram profile. And once I get through this optimization list too, I think it would be nice to maybe have some questions. So if you write those down, or if you're not in the chat, we can speak up about those. But let me get through this list. Name on your profile, okay? That's going to be the first thing that happens underneath. You can be really strategic about the name on your profile. And here's why, because it's searchable. So if somebody's in Instagram and searching Kansas City Realtor, does your name pop up? So what I would be doing next to that name, if I want to be very intentional here, is make sure my first and last name is a part of that, because that's important. And then maybe put a dash Kansas City Realtor or Better Homes and Garden KC, or something that represents you, that is very searchable on this app. So when you look at that name, you can add more than just your first and last name. It's very editable to be what you want. Obviously your name's important, but tell them, maybe give them a title or who you are, what you do. And obviously you guys know the golden rule, location. Next thing, we can categorize your profile for better searchability as well. So, you can add ours, and Hello Big Idea, I think, says marketing agency, which feels right-ish. You can also add in, I think there's one for realtor. I think that there's one for like entrepreneur, if that's how you identify your business as. I think that there's one for like, there's lots of them. go through that, figure out what category is best for you. I guess I could check these off. That'd be fun. Let's see. Write an informative and not boring bio. There are so many different ways to write your bio in Instagram. Mine specifically, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is my personal account, but I like to tell people what I do. I share a lot of pictures of my dog, but I'm very intentional in this account as well. I tell them that I'm with Hella Big Idea, that I own a different company, that I'm an artist at heart, that I love KC, but always up for a good adventure, and that I have a really cool job. And I point them to the link in my profile as well. I prefer and like when you make a list of things of what you are, but use a couple emojis. You guys know this better than anybody. You can't throw a rock without hitting a realtor here in Kansas City. So what's going to set you apart from the next person? Are you going to make somebody laugh? Is it going to be intriguing? Is it going to tell me that you're multi-talented in what you're doing? You're not just a realtor. Be interesting in that bio, because it's the first thing people read when they're on your profile, for sure. Use your location to define your profile. Location is so important, and you can put Kansas City on there, which makes you more searchable within the area of what people are trying to do. So optimize that. Last thing is use that link area. We have a great couple of tools that we're going to point you to make a link in your profile. You can link directly to anything here. Some people are like, screw it, I'm linking to my newest listing. Great, do it. I'm going to link, maybe you guys have a website that you built and you like to kind of put all of your listings or whatever on. It just tells about who you are as a person and a realtor. That's wonderful too. One of our favorite tools, and again, we have shared a lot of these tools with you. Here is a great little tool of optimization, by the way. We've shared a list of tools here that we will get a link to you for so that you can have access to. One of our favorite tools, specifically right here for the link in your profile, is called Linktree. It costs $6 a month, so it's pretty cheap, but it's worth the investment, because when I click on that Linktree, what it allows me to pull up are different links versus just one link. So I can have a link to our website. I can have a link to my newest listing. I can have a link to the house that just went under contract. I can have a link to my next listing. I can have a link to all types of things. And when I update that in Linktree, it updates that link on my profile automatically. So it's a very easy way to access that. If you're a regular user of Instagram or you click on people's bio links, you'll probably see something similar. I think Linktree actually has a free option. If you pay the $6, then you can customize it and you can put your own brand on there. You can put your headshot, you can add additional links to it, but highly recommend Linktree and putting that in your bio with a lot of resources for people. Like if you want first-time home buyers to be more informed, do you have a space on your website you want to point them towards? If you want to send them to your website to fill out a contact form to get in touch with you to see if you're a good fit as their next realtor, if whatever it may be. You just want to have a coffee date with meet new people, that could be an option as well. So highly recommend Linktree as a resource as you optimize that profile. Coming back up here, these are the things we recommend to do to optimize your profile. You're welcome to do that right this very second. I also think that we may create a little breakout group. So if you want one-on-one help with that with one of our people, we can make that happen too. I am going to open up the floor here a little bit to see if there's any initial questions that we can answer for you. Anybody have any questions? All right, pretty easy group, it sounds like. All right. Let's do this. Let's talk about engagement and how we get people to engage with us. I have 3 pieces of homework I want to send you with today, and then we can help you with your homework as well. After I finish this next little segment, we'll have 2 breakout groups that you're welcome to go into, or stay and ask some general questions as well. My number one recommendation for how to create consistency and engagement through social media is creating 6 to 8 content pillars for your brand and who you are on social media. What do I mean by content pillars? I mean, what are the topics and subjects or types of content that you're going to create when you're creating content? There is so many types of content that you can create right now. Like, it is a minefield of content out there. Honing in on what you're good at and what you want to concentrate on, or what you feel like you can be really consistent at, is important. And creating those content pillars. Here's some examples. They don't have to all be about real estate either. One could be just about your family. If you're interested in showing your family and showing like what your family does to explore Kansas City, add that as a content pillar. It's one of the 8 1/8 of your content. That means if you want to add a whole piece about your new listings very specifically, new content pillar is all just new listings. Maybe one content pillar is just about your clients and things. Maybe a content pillar is about neighborhoods in Kansas City. Maybe your content pillars are about, maybe you're a wine drinker and you love wine and you want to share some of that knowledge. And maybe you tie that into some pop buys that you do with your clients is also a bottle of wine. And so they can tie those things together of knowledge of wine and knowledge of who this realtor is, because that's the type of content they're creating. Maybe you're a big sports fan in Kansas City. I assume there's kind of a lot of those right now. So talking about the sports teams and what that looks like, and maybe you go to those games, share that content. That's an easy content pillar. And then weave in your business as well. Maybe you become a resource about how to buy your first home. Maybe you become a resource about, just the go-to resource about like what the market's like right now, or different neighborhoods. Maybe you do these breakdowns of like this neighborhood in Kansas City, or what this neighborhood has to offer, or the history of these different neighborhoods. Maybe you're a coffee drinker and you love to try all the different coffee shops in Kansas City. It takes you to different neighborhoods, helps you meet new people as well. Tie that in. And those can be different content pillars that you're creating along the way. So I had a request to reshare this screen here, so I popped it back on there if you're interested. But yeah, we create our own content pillars. And one thing we do with our content pillars is actually put them in the highlights of our Instagram. So when we're creating stories and we're creating story content, we take those same pillars and we put them right there in our highlights. And so when somebody views our profile, it should be really, really obvious what we do. And there shouldn't be a lot of question. Or if there are questions, it's like, what is this? And I want to know more. Those are the questions. So, all right, here is your homework. I see a couple questions here that I'm going to go to. How do we access the content presented? I have a link and they'll be sending a follow-up to that. So that looks like it got answered. Why should a realtor use one platform over another? I like this question, and some of this is dependent. You can still optimize all platforms. Using one over another, which one's going to benefit you and your business? I am a big, big, big fan of being really good at one thing instead of really average at 5 things. So my recommendation is pick 1, maybe 2 platforms and roll with those. That you're interested in creating content instead of trying to spread it over all types of platforms. My recommendation and what I would do if I was a realtor is Facebook and Instagram. Facebook page, and I can share that content on my Facebook page, which you can optimize very, very similar, if not exactly, to your Instagram page. And you can share that content directly to your personal page if you choose that's something that you want to share with your friends and family on that personal level. Having that Facebook page allows you to do multiple things. 1, have that business account that is important. Instagram, as we know, is owned by Facebook, so oftentimes linking those two together is important. You can push the same content into both of those places pretty easily. If you want to do any kind of paid or boosting ads, let's say you have a house, it's hot on the market, you want it to sell this weekend, and you're willing to put a little money behind it for more people to reach that information, you would have to have that Facebook page to be able to do that, and spend that money to be able to push that out. So if it were me, Facebook and Instagram, because they're incredibly visual, it's where most of you have to just decide, where's your clientele at? Who is your clientele? Who's your audience? Who are you going after in Kansas City? I'm going to guess they're on one of those two platforms. If you're going after investors and people building businesses off of buying real estate, you might consider LinkedIn as a place that you want to be really educational and making those intentional connections with people that maybe already have the title as investor on LinkedIn. That could be an interesting strategy to go after. So I think, again, you have to decide what your goal is. Should you share the same exact content on both Facebook and Insta? Will it be redundant, or should there be different pieces of content for each platform? I believe you can share most of the time the same content. Do I recommend sharing it at the same time? Depends on the piece of content, but I think that there's a lot of ability to just schedule the content at separate times, but it's the same type of content. You may need to resize it. You may need to do things. Obviously, if I'm creating a story for Instagram, I have to decide, is that something I want to put on Facebook? The nice part about Facebook is it allows links, right, with your post. So if you're directly sharing a link to a house within a website, that's very shareable and easy to do right there. The best way to share links in Instagram is going to be via that profile link, or in your stories, there is a way to link directly there. So if people are watching your stories and you're sharing something, you can add that link in. So that actionable piece is, go look at this house, see if it's something you want to, contact me and we can go take a look at. So that's a very wishy-washy answer to, yes, you can put the same content, and no, you shouldn't put the same content. I think that it depends is the answer. How important is video? Oh gosh. This time last year, I would have told you, hey, video's not as crazy important as it used to be. Now it's becoming the thing, right? And it's daunting to create video, but I think real estate is the best way to create it, because we all want to look at pretty houses. Like, you guys have access to gorgeous houses, to gorgeous spaces, and cool things happening around Kansas City, that video can be as much as what you're sharing on stories, or it can be a more curated version of, like a reel that people are creating, which is kind of like knockoff TikTok, essentially. The good thing about putting a reel on Instagram is the way Instagram digests that is it's a very branded way of, it's very informative. People are learning from those things. And video is important. You can put animation into video. You can post video through your feed if you're interested. But video gets engagement, no doubt about it. So it is important. In fact, I think we have an entire class specifically around how you can shoot video on this thing, and a few resources and apps that we would highly recommend you use to make that happen. And then we want to help you create maybe your first video as well. What's the difference between post, stories, and reels? Posts are going to be your static feed. Long time ago, in the great old days, it used to be chronological, and now an algorithm plays a part in trying to understand what you like and what you view the most, and it will decide what pops up for you from your followers. A story is going to be something that is posted within your profile, and when you're in that home tab, on the far left side, there's going to be a set of icons up here with different people's profile photos. Again, another reason to have a fabulous profile photo that is very depictive of who you are. You can click on those and start rolling through stories. And then 30 minutes later, you'll look up and realize that you've been on stories for that long. But stories are fabulous, either in real time, just open it up and start shooting, or you can curate it a little bit more and create graphics and styles around that if you're interested. Reels are video. It's going to be, everybody's is different, I think, but mine is the middle button down here, where you can create different reels. They're going to be anywhere from, usually 15 to 30 seconds, and they're going to be clever. They're going to be clipped and edited in certain fun ways. There's a lot of trends happening around those reels and video. They're usually educational, informative, and they get really high engagement right now because the algorithm has said we want people to be here and consuming this video, so we're going to push it out as much as we possibly can. Yeah. So all types of content, no doubt about it. All right, your homework this week is going to be selecting the platforms you want to activate. Step one, that is number one on your list, figuring out. Hopefully today I've given you a little insight. I told you it was going to be Instagram heavy. Of course, that's probably going to be my number one recommendation for you, but figure out what's best for you and your brand and figure out those platforms. Number two is going to be to optimize those, setting up those platforms so that you are ready to go with that headshot, with the bio, with the name, with even down to your handle, whatever it may be. Optimize those platforms. Facebook optimizes wildly similarly to Instagram, so take your time and do that. And your last piece of homework is going to be coming up with 6 to 8 content pillars on which you want to hang your hat on as a realtor that you're going to post to on social media. I gave you tons of examples earlier on how to do that. But what I would love to do here is send us into breakout groups. And one breakout group will be all about optimizing your profile, and one will be brainstorming and coming up with cool content pillar ideas. So I will put Caroline in our optimized platform and Taylor in our content pillar breakout room, and we can head those directions. If that is not interesting to you, you're welcome to either drop off or stay in this general area, and I can help answer some very general questions. Okay, I'm going to set those up, so bear with me here in just a second. Okay, I have created 2 breakout rooms. I would be lying to you if I told you I've done this before. Somehow you can choose your room here. Okay, there should be a trigger for you somewhere on your screen to choose a room to go into. Oh gosh, and one's of course misspelled because I was going so fast, so ignore my typo there. If you'd like to go into content pillars, feel free to do so. If you'd like to go into optimized platforms, feel free to do so. But you should be able to go into those rooms. Taylor, did you see how to get there?
Yes, I'm trying to join the content pillars one right now.
Okay, as that happens, if there is anybody else that has any general questions for me or for Casey and Kaylee over here who are doing a great job of asking questions, I am super happy to have that conversation. How do I get to breakouts? Your screen looks different than mine. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I knew. On your bottom screen, is there an option that says breakout rooms? Casey, maybe you can see. Click on the three dots, more. Oh, thank you.
Yes, if everyone clicks on the three dots at the bottom of your screen, there'll be three dots and it says more. If you click on that, select that, a little window will pop up and it says join breakout room. And you select that and it'll give you two options, content pillars for optimized platforms. We have 10 people in content pillars and we have 2 in optimized platforms right now.
Thank you. And you can see my bad typo. I was typing too fast there.
It happens.
Oops. Any general questions here in this space right now that I can help answer? Hopefully this has been helpful for everybody. I can't even find the menu on my Instagram page to start working on it. And although my screen says, hi, Andy. Can I put you potentially into the optimized platform space to get some help? Casey, I'm going to jump into content pillars here just because there's the most people in there to see if Taylor's doing okay.
Okay, we'll hop in, optimize, and maybe bump over.
Okay.
Anybody else that's on this, just make sure you just go click down to more. You can comment, or you can take yourself off mute if you have questions right now, and then I'll help get them into anything right now, Ashley.
Yeah, Anna Sue, I see your question and I am putting you in the proper group.
CC, I think all I see now is we have, Heather, Donna, Julia, Janelle, and Anna Sue you're putting in. Do any of you other ladies need help getting in? Well, that's okay, Ashley. I'll stay here and then I can reach out to you if needed.
I will be back. Let me just pop in there.
Okay. Can you?
No, so that's an example of neighborhoods. You can touch on, restaurant highlights, coffee shop highlights, things to do, maybe median home price, because that might be a factor for people as well. And just like generic areas of interest. So that's neighborhoods. If you want to pitch yourself as like the foodie real estate agent, maybe that's something that you really connect with people on. Maybe you have like a restaurant guide to Kansas City, and that is just something that's relatable. And something about content pillars I'll mention as well is that a lot of times when people are following real estate accounts, they're following because they're wanting to buy or sell a home, and so that's why they're going to interact with you at first. But these content pillars outside of just like specifically listings is how you're going to get people to stay on your page and how you're going to get them to continually follow you. You know, so maybe I start following your page because I'm looking to buy a home, but then I continue following you because you have a really good guide to Kansas City, or, you know, you're always posting about events that are happening in the community. And that way I'm still feeling connected with your page. And then that way, if I'm ever going to sell or buy another home, you're always top of mind because I'm already interacting with your content. So that's kind of, you know, if you're wanting to talk about things other than sellings and listings, the benefit of that. Speaking of sellings and listings, that's a content pillar in and of itself, you know, because that's at the end of the day what you're doing. You're helping people buy and sell houses. So posting your listings, posting updates, newly listed. There's a couple real estate accounts that I follow solely because they always post the coolest homes, and I love swiping through and seeing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that house has the coolest living room. Like, it's just fun for me to look at. So that's a content pillar. If you are specializing in maybe like people who are first-time home buyers, or people who are buying their first, second home, debunking or real estate jargon, or just talking about general home buying process, just education about the home buying process, the home selling process is also very helpful, since that can be one of the most daunting things to people. You know, they hear a bunch of terms and they're like, I have no idea what that means. You know, just kind of education.
So is that something that you would share like in a post, or that you'd maybe record yourself and do a video or a story about? Like, what's the best course?
Yeah, honestly, that's going to be personal preference. I've seen people do all three, and it's just going to depend on what you feel most comfortable doing. An easy post idea would just be like almost a definition, you know, where you have the word contingency and you write a definition of what contingency is or means in your own words. A story about that could be something very similar, or you could make a reel where you're just sitting down and being like, hey guys, we're going to chat through, you know, a couple things today, and list off, you know, some things and what that means for you in the home buying or selling process. So that's going to be personal preference. I think all of the ways are effective. Just any way that you're communicating and engaging with your audience is going to be successful.
Cool.
Yeah.
So think that there's some data that could probably tell you some things. And if you try different ways and you just get a better engagement one way or another, that could give you your answer as well. So if I try a post, it gets 5 likes, but I try a story and I get 6 messages, I'm gonna probably start the conversation on stories, just because I got a better response there. So I think that some of that is just trial and error as you figure out what your audience and who you're speaking to really wants. So yeah.
All right, let's some other content pillar ideas. Let's think.
I love the idea, and I don't know if you guys, you know, everybody's so different, but like home trends, there are so many trends that happen in the home space, you know, down to like the touch faucets or the hand, you know, doors, people, you know, there's these trends that happen in the home world that I feel like I'm always looking to somebody to see what are those trends. And I believe realtors have access to some of the most beautiful content because they get to be in these houses that have beautiful, you know, trends going on that people are interested in, you know. And if I could get a peek of a first house, it's how I actually found the house that I'm living in right now, was through social media, when somebody was like posting about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see more inside that house, because I got to see just a little bit of it. And so I think that is just really powerful. Question for you guys: how many houses would you say you, on average, are in per week?
I'm really new, so the answer is 0 for me. So that's not a good question.
Fair
for
enough.
me.
Fair enough.
No, I mean, you know, you look at like between yesterday and today, maybe 4 or 5 houses, you know, you take a buyer on a tour, you see 3 in a day, then the next day you see another 2.
Sure. So for me, it's like snap a photo at each front door, and like 5 different front doors today I walked through. just something as simple as that, I think is fascinating to see. One, you're out there doing your job. Two, what a fun thing to see 5 different front doors in one day, in a couple of days. And then maybe it becomes a whole story highlight about the front doors of Kansas City, or I'm making this up as I go, to be very honest with you right now. But I just think that don't forget to take your phone out while you're going through those houses, because you have access to stuff that the world doesn't, or Kansas City doesn't, and utilize that.
Yeah, people love seeing, they call them like days in the life, or so a day in the life of a Kansas City realtor. People eat that stuff up. They love it. It's always fascinating to see what other people's days look like, in different jobs. So that's always something fun to do as well, because all you're doing is just filming what you do normally, and love it.
Another big trend right now is called POV, or point of view. So point of view of a real estate agent, or maybe point of view of a buyer, or a point of view of a house. I don't know. Like, I think that there's these fun trends that happen, and that make content easier to create. And if you, just like give your perspective on something, because we all have a different one for sure.
Absolutely. You
Okay.
can also think about what sets you apart as a real estate agent and make that a content pillar. So if you, and obviously this is part of your marketing, everyone has their own strengths. So let's say, like, if your strength is, I am the most educated buyer, or like I'm the most educated real estate agent in Kansas City, then share that education and help set that you apart, or if you're like, I am the most relatable realtor, show some things that show that you're relatable. If you are like, I want to be the realtor for people who like really care about the outdoors and really care about like the nature they're in and around the house, that they're purchasing or selling. Show yourself on walks, show yourself, exploring parks of Kansas City. Basically find what sets you apart and share that content. And then that'll help people see, seeing is believing. So, if you're saying that you're the most, or like you're the best luxury home realtor out there, show that. And that'll help people really, believe that and trust that.
Welcome back. How was your group, Caroline?
It was good. We had a few good little questions, got into the kind of back through the basics of the Instagram profile.
Cool. We had some great questions in ours too, and some really cool ideas that people were asking. So I think that was really great. I don't know if people choose to come back in this group. Casey, I'm happy to stay here for a little while, answer any additional questions that people have. Casey has shared a link with y'all for our content. We will continue to build our Notion document for you as the classes go. Casey doesn't know I'm about to say this, but would love it if you told Casey, like, was this worth it for you today? Did you learn something new? Did it help you? Were there any great takeaways? And if you could kind of report that back to Casey, I think that it can really help us build to make sure our next class, which is in 2 weeks, by the way, same time, same place, we can make sure that we'll keep compounding and capitalizing on all of this so that you guys feel like you're really getting something out of it. Last reminder is you have a little bit of homework until the next class, which is in 2 weeks, which is decide on your platforms, optimize those platforms, get them set up, and then come up with your 6 to 8 content pillars. That's your homework. And we'll follow up with you on that homework in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Thanks a bunch.
It was great to meet so many of you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you all.
Thank you. Great information.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye,
We'll
everybody.
send a follow-up with everybody, but thank you, ladies. We'll send a follow-up email with the link, and I think we'll send you guys a list of everybody that attended so they can be invited, because I think you have to invite them to it.
Cool.
The Notion. Yeah. And then see everybody in 2 weeks for the brand on your brand.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
So do you recommend like creating a separate like business page for Instagram, or because it's tough, you can look at it either way. It's like you can leverage your existing followers, but then you don't want to, if you're really trying to like pump content, it's like if they're not into it, then it's like, okay, I need to get away, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So would you recommend kind of making another one and then just plugging it from your main one, or what would you do with that?
If it were me, or there's options. Some of this is going to be personal preference and your comfortability level. If you feel like you want to leverage your current following and make that happen, I would say just maybe make sure you're not sharing things you wouldn't want to like people not to know, right? Like then you're probably got to make a list of things you're not going to share. Like if you're going out on Friday night and it gets a little wild, like that's probably not on brand. So like, I think, and if that's what you want to do, then keep that personal account and have a space for that. And I think that that's fine. If that's not you and not something you do, then yeah, transform this a little bit and just add the fact that you're a realtor and you're going to share some of that to the following that you already have. And I think that that could be completely fine. But I think you have to decide, are there parts of that world that you don't want people to see on a professional level? Then that might answer your question for you. If you're completely okay with that and you want to start that content and you kind of give some fair warning to those people, like, hey, I'm a realtor, I'm going to start sharing this kind of thing, and here's what I'm interested in, here's the kind of content I'm going to continue sharing, you can let them make that decision whether they want to stick around or not.
Clayton, he's a new realtor, and you coach, correct, Clayton?
Where do you coach at?
I coach at Mill Valley basketball.
Okay, my boyfriend's a
Yep.
coach at Shawnee Mission West.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, we
Yeah.
play them in a couple weeks.
You know Adam Runyon?
Yeah, the girls coach.
Yeah, he coached
he's a
for
good
my
guy.
boyfriend for the last 2 years. He's a great guy.
Oh, nice. All right, small world.
Yeah. Anyhow, I know all about like my boyfriend's content is shoes. That's like his thing. But he's woven it into like everything else that he wants to do as well. So I think that there are really easy ways, like if that's something you decide, like if you have your thing like that, that you can weave into that. Are you a teacher too, or just a coach?
Coach.
So I guess you have to just decide, like I was a teacher previously, and I had a very private account. Like I didn't want my kids and my students seeing all of that. And that was just a decision I made. But my professional account, I was sure I could like cater that content a bit more. So I think you have to make that personal decision of which one you want to do and go for it one way or another. But yeah, I think you could have a lot of fun with that too. Especially like bringing that coaching atmosphere into there, and like you probably know something about the schools, districts, and the areas and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right, okay. That makes sense. And then in terms of like the content pillars, so they're not, obviously they don't all have to be related to real estate, but then you kind of want some of them or most of them to be related to real estate.
I think if you're really intentional about this account growing your real estate business, like growing your network, growing who's interested in you becoming their realtor, some of those pillars need to be very specific to that real estate world, showing that you're a trusted resource, showing that that you've done this a time or two, that you know this world, that you're the person that they want to be going to for this. So yes, the answer I would say is, out of the 6 to 8, do I think 3 to 4 should be, maybe even 5 should be about the real estate world? Yes. Do I think you can leak in your world and make something different? Basketball, like that could be a thing. Sports, Kansas City sports. Like I'm guessing, I don't know you very well, but I'm guessing those are maybe some things you like based on just knowing that you're a coach. I think that there are easy ways to take what you're already good at and what you surround yourself with regularly and leak that into being a part of your content.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I appreciate it. And then I thought this meeting started at 11:30, so I jumped in late. But
Okay.
Was the first half, was it recorded or no?
Yes, it's all been recorded,
Okay.
and you will get the entire recording.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll send out a follow-up email, Clayton, so
Okay,
for that.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's very helpful. I'm
Yeah.
excited for the next one. So
Cool. Thank you very much.
yeah, you
All
guys
right.
have a good one.
You too.
you.
Casey, I will send you this recording.
Thank
All
you,
right.
ladies.
I thought that was really great.
Yeah, I did too. I think it's great. I think showing more of that.